I want to tell you what an X-ring is.
You not watch Star Wars?
No,
The film Star Wars?
never seen one of the movies.
How have you never seen Star Wars? What did you watch at Christmas when you were a kid? It was on every Christmas. No matter what country you're in, it was on every Christmas.
I have no idea. I don't think we watch TV at Christmas time. We
No.
were one of those families that actually had lunch and sat around the table, and then as soon as we possibly could, got as far away from each other as possible.
Yeah, I think that's why we watched telly, because we had the dinner and it was like, right, that's enough. Let's go sit in front of the box where we don't have to talk to each other, which we still do, to be fair. Good old family.
Yeah, no, well, Christmas in Australia is hot. So we're outside and we're usually in the pool or playing cricket or doing something, and activity based, or we're just sleeping because we've eaten so much and it's too bloody hot to move. So,
Yeah, no, we don't. Well, we have done hot the last couple of weeks, but Christmas is usually wet. Yeah, it's been far too hot the last couple of days. I don't do the heat. I'm not good with heat.
Yeah, no, I work with a couple of people who are also pretty anti-heat as well. I would give anything right now to be too hot as opposed to too cold.
No.
Hey, winter, it hasn't been too bad, so I shouldn't be complaining.
No, give me a nice crisp morning any day. It's been 32, 33, 34 over here, and it's dead muggy and dead humid, and it's just no.
Yeah,
no.
I don't
When you're
deal
cold,
well with
you can get. Well, when you're cold, you can get warmer. You can put a jumper on, you can put a blanket on, you can get warmer. When you're hot, I just walk around going, despite all my mindset stuff, all my tactics, everything else is just like, no, that's going to be grumpy for the next 48 hours. You might as well just leave me alone.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, geez. And it is really odd, I must admit right now, because we know each other only because of LinkedIn. And we only know each other because of our videos and our comments on each other's posts. So this is actually really quite directly, like with Arik, with my last video, I had met him in person at least once. So this was really cool. I like this a lot. So
it is strange, isn't it? All these people you feel like you know, but just because you're connected and stuff with the written word and maybe watch the videos, but we recognize each other, which is what it's all about. We recognize the key spirit, the key elements of the way we do stuff. So, but it's weird hearing your voice responding to my voice. There's still something strange about that.
That I'm sort of double taking about as well. So hey, this is how this game works.
Yes.
It's called We're Not Really Strangers. It is a card game and it has 3 levels. In this particular conversation, we're going to play with level 2, which is all about connection with other people, and it's the opportunity to answer random questions. So how brave are you feeling today?
I was feeling all right until then I watched the video with you and Eric, and it was like, oh, they're quite some deep questions, those are. That's right. And I really can't revise for that at all.
No, there's no preparation that you can do. It's just straight up, This is what it is. And I think that's what makes this particular approach something that I really love, because that's my normal style of communication and connection anyway. So it's really nice to be able to meet you and play this game. Shall I get shuffling and you can tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, what you love, what your passions are?
Oh, wow. Okay. So
yeah, just an easy question to launch you off there.
Nice, easy one. Just your whole 44 years in 30 seconds. So I spent 20 odd years in the corporate world, IT, tech industries, utilities, leading huge teams and having a damn good laugh doing that for a long period of time. But then 3 or 4 years towards the end, I suppose ultimately became that cliche that everybody dreams, make sure they don't want to be, that kind of all hours of the day, all the stress, crap dad, crap husband, all that kind of stuff. And then eventually realized that's what I turned into and decided to do something about it. So I left, and now I took the bit of the job, the people bit. When you're leading teams of hundreds of people, you kind of assume that most of your job will be about the people, and it really wasn't. but that was a bit of the job I loved. So I thought I'll take that bit and see if I can make that my whole job. So now I coach is the label. I'm not a label person, but for shorthand, I'm a coach. I'm a mindset coach. But yeah, just help people grow. And I've been doing that for about a year now on my own. I say on my own, but with the support of people like yourself and various other inspiring people across LinkedIn or networking groups or business ventures and stuff. So really enjoying the best of both worlds at the moment of being by myself, but getting the experience of loads of other people and helping clients grow and deal with their own challenges, especially over the last few months. So it's been really interesting and on one hand challenging, but on the other hand really lovely to help so many people over the last 4 or 5 months deal with anxiety, pressures at work, pressures not at work. What I love, I've got 2 teenagers who I do love most of the time.
Teenagers though.
They are teenagers, so it's wonderful to see them developing into their own people. I just wish they'd do it in a bit of a less stubborn way. But other than that, I just love I'm one of those weird people who likes what I like. So I'm a ball of contradictions. So I love exercise, HIIT, yoga, mountain biking, but on the other hand, I love mindfulness. I love geeky stuff like Star Wars, Dungeons and Dragons, Lord of the Rings, all that kind of stuff. So I'm this big ball of contradictions in terms of liking some, I suppose, traditionally cool stuff, but also really geeky stuff. And I love bringing those 2 things together. So yeah, big ball of contradictions.
I like it.
How was that?
I like it indeed. I think that's great. Big ball of contradictions might just be your tagline.
yeah. I'm going to write that down.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so when we did connect, for the benefit of our network, how we came to connect with each other on LinkedIn wasn't just by seeing each other and connecting. It was through a LinkedIn pod. And for the benefit of those who don't know what a LinkedIn pod is, it's essentially a group that is comprised of ideally like-minded people who are in the same LinkedIn email thread. And the purpose of the pod is to put a link of your content, whatever you produce, into that email thread. And whomever is in that group then goes and engages with your content. And likewise, you do that for other people in that group. And for some time, you and I were both engaged in that pod, and that's how we met and connected. I consequently left the pod, went on to doing other things. One of the things that was a detraction from me was I didn't find the pod to be authentic engagement. I didn't find the comments to be genuine. And a couple of the people weren't very genuine. So for me, it was just like, all right, let's go back to scratch and build my community with just by being myself. How did you come to find the pod? Are you still in it?
I still have the pods in my feed, but they're muted. Very similar to yourself in terms of the pods are great in terms of exposing you to a big group of people and being able to quickly filter those you connected with and those which obviously went, yeah, no. So they were dead useful. And that was pretty much in my early days of LinkedIn. So it was like, let's try everything, let's try anything, let's see what works and let's explore it, let's be curious. What's all this about? But yeah, I very soon, probably around the same time, if not long after you sort of ease back from the pods. I don't engage in them at all anymore. But yeah, I met some great people through them. But ultimately, I found just connecting in comments and following the thread. So who connect with you, see who you connect with, because that's genuine, and so on and so on. And follow those sort of threads through your connections. I found that's a much more appealing and valuable way to connect with people rather than just join a group. And if I'm honest, at the same time I was exploring Facebook and Facebook groups, and it was a very similar experience there in terms of just reams of people, and those who shout loudest got the airtime. And it's kind of, what, I spent 20 years resisting that person who shouts loudest gets their stuff on the agenda, so I'm not going back into that world again. So yeah, very quickly came out of the pods. Still there in terms of just on my feed. It's interesting that I've not left them now you've mentioned it, and I wonder why I've not done that. But yeah, still met some great people through them. So
do you still post content to the pods?
Not to the pods, no. I haven't done to the pods for a long time. I just post my content, post my daily content, and just be done with it. well, I write the content, but somebody else posts it for me at the moment. One of those outsourcing activities just to free up. It's amazing how much time. For ages, I resisted that in terms of that will just, well, I can post every day. It's a mechanical thing, but actually it's saved me so much time.
Yeah.
So many rabbit holes I go down. When I post something, I'd end up on LinkedIn outside of my scheduled time and just follow rabbit holes. So I've got a lot more discipline as a result of outsourcing the actual posting. So, which is really good. I'd recommend that to anybody who's serious about social media.
Yeah, nice one. It's a good recommendation. Let's turn over the first card, shall we?
Come on then, let's do it.
Oh, this is a perfect question for you. How can you become a better person? Couldn't be a better question for you.
How could I become a better person? Okay, so with most questions, and I find this lots with my clients, is there's quite often a philosophical answer. And then there's, well, that's great, but how can you practically do that as well? So philosophically, how do you get better? For me, you just try. You just have a go. It's not about overthinking. It's not about spending lots of time looking backwards and fretting about the opportunities you missed and all that kind of stuff. It's simply going, look, I want to be better. How do I be better? Not perfect, not brilliant, not amazing, just better than I was yesterday. And that, when I came out of the corporate world, that underpinned a lot of my thinking. Was I was in some dark places, and it was very much, I'm not going to go from pitch black to bright gleaming white. How do I go to muted grey? How do I go from muted grey to beige? How do I go from beige to a slightly brighter colour, and so on and so on and so on? And that for me is about, you just got to, every morning get up, do something different, something better than you did yesterday. In practical terms, I've just done a HIIT routine this morning, so I'm still a bit warm. Yes, we've been away for a few days, so I haven't done one since Wednesday. But today we just used some weights in a running and punching. Just added a little bit of extra weight into what was a pretty standard routine we've done before. So it's just about looking for those little incremental things you can do. So there's a philosophical side. Just try something. Just try it. Experiment. The scientist in me is very much about experimenting. That doesn't mean they all work. Lots of experiments fail. But yeah, practically just add something additional. If yesterday you ate a whole packet of biscuits, try and eat half a packet of biscuits today. We look at those things as negative, but actually that's being better than you were yesterday. If there was 20 biscuits in it, I don't eat. I have a love-hate relationship with biscuits. But yeah, just eat half a packet, then eat a quarter of a packet, then eat one, and just incrementally do it rather than jumping to, I'm never going to eat biscuits again, which ironically is what I did. But don't put yourself under pressure to be perfect.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. I don't think that perfect ought to be an ideal anyway, because one person's perfect is not perfect for you. And I think that for me, trying to be a better person comes from receiving continual feedback, looking and engaging in conversations and say, how could I have done that better? How could I have said that better? How could I have loved more in that situation? How could I have been more compassionate? How could I have been less judgmental? And looking at my actions and reactions and determining, how can I respond better? How can I be more curious? And how can I care more? I have on my LinkedIn tagline that I'm leading with care, collaboration, and communication. And I take that quite seriously. I don't lead in these ways because I can already do it. I lead in these ways because I need to keep getting better in these three areas. My values are those three words. And if I can continue to improve by receiving feedback, by looking at myself with that 360-degree lens as best I might, and go, you know what, if you've got something to tell me that I could have done better, tell me. Just tell me. Because there's no way that I'll ever be any version of perfect. And I don't think I ever want to be, because then I'll have no way to grow. It's so much more fun knowing that there's one more step that you can take to be a better human being. And so, very cool. I get it completely.
Yeah, I think that retrospective, if you like, that ability to be introspective but looking backwards, and then spinning that and saying, okay, what am I going to do about that? What is the next thing I'm going to do about that? That's a really nice clean, practical way to approach challenges, issues, problems, situations, but also whatever internal stuff you've got going on as well in terms of, but yeah, the feedback things, brilliant. It takes, it does take a brave person to seek out feedback.
Yeah, I've been doing it for a really long time because, I mean, talking about going deep, one of the first pieces of feedback that I ever got about the type of person I was actually when I was a child, and unfortunately my mum's family don't like my father terribly much. He has certain qualities that aren't favourable, let's put it that way. And I remember at a Christmas standing with my aunts and my mother, and I was like 9 or 10, and I don't know what I had said or what had happened, but one of my aunties tapped me on the head and said, "Oh, Caron, you're just like your father." And then seconds later, not even a heartbeat later, she turns to her sisters and starts quite horrifically bad-mouthing him. And I'm still standing there, and I'm like making the connection, if she said this, I'm just like my father, and she's saying these negative, horrible things about my dad, geez, she thinks I'm just like him, and I'm just like, but I don't want to be just like him, and that then perpetuated for the rest of my goddamn life to take the attributes of who he is in myself, find them, seek them out, and work on them. And it was, I mean, look, most of my teens and my 20s was consumed by these finding of qualities that people didn't like in me and changing them. And it was exhausting, absolutely exhausting. I wouldn't wish this on anybody. But I'm now very self-analytical and able to see myself quite openly and pragmatically because I'm so used to seeking out that feedback, so as to not become the adult that my father was described as, which is such a weird aspiration. So weird to even say that and admit that. But I think because of who he is, I've become a better person, and he's of a generation that doesn't believe that he ever needs to change or work on himself, which is unfortunate because he is a remarkable man. If he didn't have so many other qualities that weren't quite so remarkable.
I know what you mean. Were there any qualities you got that even if you had feedback, you go, no, if you had feedback, don't be like that, Karen, you go, no, I'm happy, I'm comfortable being this way. This way is me.
Yeah, it took me a long time to separate qualities that were his, qualities that were mum, and qualities that were just purely me. And to really come to terms with who I am and accept myself for who I am. And certainly that's where my confidence comes from, my ability to go, no, that's me. That's who I want to be. And the assertiveness, the ability to speak up for myself, to speak up when someone's, maybe not being nice, or to speak up to help somebody else, to stand up for somebody else. These are all really good qualities, massively compassionate, and I care a lot, and I'm quite considerate for other people's needs. Sometimes to my detriment, but for the most part, I think that there's a nice balance there. What about yourself?
My parents, I suppose a lot of what I do is I translate it into my parenting. So I'm very keen to be a better dad, and I can be quite. I know I can be quite hard on myself in terms of that period I talked about in terms of the last few years of corporate life, where I was away a lot, and when I was here, I was quite angry. I was quite shouty. I was the finger wagging dad, which the kids quite often remind me about, jokingly, but it still does get to me a bit. But I spot those qualities of my parents. You know, I'll quickly jump to calling the kids lazy when they're not going out of bed, and it's like, you're lazy, come on, and it's not. And I'm kind of, exactly as you say, reinforcing those kind of beliefs in them that they're lazy and those types of things. So I've worked quite hard on dealing with that, speaking to them afterwards. I've got a lot better at it, but that's where I'm definitely trying to take those experiences of the past, where I quickly jump to calling somebody something, and actually just trying to step back a bit and say, look, it's not, not even use labels. Not even, that's partly where I think, the chat at the beginning from a coach perspective of labels can be quite damaging. But just wanting to explore with them why they're acting that way, why they're doing those things. By no means, does that always work? But I feel better about the attempt rather than jumping to, which is ultimately, as you say, you can get this feedback, you can get it from externals or yourself. The only thing you can really do with it is make a decision about it. You can choose to ignore it, or you can choose to act on it. The outcome, in reality, you've really got very little control over. You've just got to do what you feel is right. And there are many things. A lot of my childhood, I do get a lot of good qualities from my parents. I don't subject to peer pressure. I was chatting at the weekend with somebody about, I still remember sitting in the school locker room, sat in the third year, so what's that, 13, 14, reading geeky books, and people taking the mickey and stuff like that. And I just sit there and it would just wash over me. And it kind of, not that there weren't moments with bullying and whatnot, but generally speaking, I barely impacted by it, because this is what I like. You can do what you want. I don't care. And that's kind of stuck with me. I don't, peer pressure when I'm not going to drink anymore, but years ago when I used to go drinking, if I'd had enough, I'd had enough. And all the, well, come on. And you're like, no, I'm all right, thanks, I've had enough. And that kind of confidence in those things has helped me in terms of the deep characteristics that I've taken with me that are useful and that allow me to get better. I've had if nothing else, my parents gave me a good foundation to get better. Like you said, there's remarkable things you can take from them. So I've taken that remarkable thing of, great, thank you, give me a good baseline, a good place to start from. From here, I can tweak the bits I want to tweak. Not always at the speed that I would like them to be done. But
Funny thing about parenting, though, doesn't it make us look at ourselves very, very closely? My son's 4.5, and it's amazing how much of my parents' parenting is coming out, and also to see my husband's parenting. He's Nigerian, so culturally it's very, very different.
Yeah.
And he grew up without a father, so he had older brothers, quite a few, but he didn't have two parents, and he had a single mother who worked several jobs, and the unfortunate stereotypical story of a single mother with several children. And he was shipped around different families and had to live in different houses and with different siblings throughout his childhood. And to watch him parent is really interesting, because he is not one of those people that overtly participates in professional or personal development, but he does, because he just looks at his characteristics and what's happening with his son and makes small little tweaks. But yeah, parenting is the biggest mirror on who I am that I ever thought I'd be gifted with. Right. It's amazing. Shall we have another question? That was a good question. That was a really good one. Oh, what's the most pain you've ever been in that wasn't physical?
What's the most pain?
don't know how to answer this.
No, I suppose emotional pain. There was, when my daughter was born, who's my eldest, Sydney, she, it's a bizarre, I can still recall the moment with crystal clear clarity. I remember every second, every sound, every smell, every action that people took. Basically, when she came out, when she was born, she wasn't breathing. So they hit a button, and basically the room, this small maternity room, was flooded with a cart, and that came in from nowhere. 3 doctors, I remember 3 doctors, and 2 other midwives appeared. So that was 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6 medical professionals. Me and Claire was still on the bed, and I remember everything dropping away, just everything in terms of just what's, nobody said anything. The midwife was poker face, was smiling, but I could tell that just the clarity I was given in that moment was, I could tell that was a poker face. Claire was exhausted but smiling because she'd given birth, and she hadn't quite realised that the baby wasn't with her, but it was in that moment of, oh wow, it's done. Wow, what an amazing thing I've done. And then on the left-hand side, I had this chaos, just as they just went at her, and it only lasted, I mean, if it was 30 seconds, it was that, I don't even think it was that, but they quickly got a breathing in. But in that moment, that everything dropped away from me, and everything, it was like my whole body was on fire because I couldn't do anything. I couldn't move. My head could move, I could look and see, but I remember my body just being, oh my God, I'm going to have to tell Claire, I'm going to, what's going to happen, what's something, and just, I suppose I didn't think of it as pain, but that white hot clarity of just what's coming. And I'll be honest, at that moment, it was nothing good's coming. It was all negative. It was all horrible, because you've been up here, this massive high of 8 hours, and then to drop. And I suppose I suppose it was, if I was to think of pain, that flash, those seconds of just rigidness. And it was all fine. She was fine. And then they literally all just disappeared again. And it was like, yeah, she wasn't breathing. She's breathing now. It's all fine. It was like, and then everything came rushing back. All the sound, all the feeling, all the sensation. But yeah, all that was replaced inside, I say emptiness, but it was white. And I suppose I associate that with pain, in terms of just that moment of almost paralytical. I was paralyzed by pain of, and I'll be honest, it was more selfish, and I'm going to have to tell Claire that it just, but then that was gone within a second, and that then it's to go up and down. So yeah, I suppose if I think of that, I always think of that as the most horrible, painful moment. But it's weird because it's sandwiched by 2 complete highs: the 8 hours of giving birth, yay, and then 30 seconds of pain, and then hey, baby. So it's weird that maybe it's those extremes that make it seem so blindingly hot, so blindingly white. But yeah, that would be, and I say with pain because I could do nothing. I suppose it's like when you break your arm, break your leg, the physical equivalent, that hurts, but you can't, you know that you can't, that's with outside of your control to do. I cannot make that better. I fractured my shoulder, elbow, and other injuries, and the equivalent is somebody else has got to do something here. I can do nothing. And that was similar then, was just, so yeah, don't think of that very often. But yeah, if it's not, it was physical pain, but not caused by physical situation. Not sure if that's the sort of thing they're looking for, but I know they're not looking for it, just looking for a conversation starter. So yeah.
It's interesting just to think about whether pain can not be physical.
I think that didn't start as physical pain, but it certainly turned into physical pain. So yeah.
Struggling to think of something, because I'm just like, anything that I have felt, just by its very definite definition of feeling it, means that it was physical, that my brain created it. Yeah, cool. I like your answer. What an amazing experience. Glad she's perfectly okay. How old is she now?
Yeah, she turned 15 last Sunday.
Fun times. Happy birthday.
15's all right. It was the 11th to 12. It was 11 to 12. That was the first year of secondary school, high school, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that was 13, 14, 15. There's some ups and downs, but to be fair to her, she's generally lovely. As long as she's getting what she wants. But that's teenagers. But yeah, she's 15 now, so, and no repercussions from that at all. There's still stuff inside of me, but beautifully, she has no idea. Claire has no idea because she was gas and aired and just physically knackered. So she was like, "Are you sure that happened?" So, yeah, trust me, that happened.
Oh.
Which is good. You know, I'd rather she wasn't aware of it. So.
What's the most unexplainable thing that's ever happened to you that you didn't just answer?
What's the most unexplainable thing? Oh, that's going to take me a moment. What's happened to me that I can't explain? I mean, most stuff, if you sit back, you can quite often think you can see the thing, but usually it's a connection of multiple things. I'm a strong believer in, you know, nobody's, to use an example, an overnight success. It's a series of things, usually little things. And quite often you'll think, aha, it's this big thing. But actually, if you hadn't have done these 10,000 little things, you wouldn't have had, that thing wouldn't have just appeared at the right time. You'd have been in the right place. So most stuff is, you can't see every connection just because you just don't know what things you did, what mood you were in, what questions you asked that were the right questions, what questions you answered that were the right questions that led to that thing. Which is nice in some ways because it does leave a bit of mystery. It means I can only do my, you know, going back to some of the other questions, I can only try to be better and, you know, just believe that the right things will happen at the right time in the right way because of my mindset and my attitude and the way I do things, not because I got lucky, not because somebody else was looking out for me. It's all within my control. It's all within my power, but I can't map everything out, which is a lot of waffle because I'm trying to think of something.
Well, maybe the only thing I can think of that I could never explain was when I was a child and I used to, I don't know whether it was clairvoyancy or whether it was seeing ghosts and talking to ghosts or things that weren't there, but apparently when I was little, I used to have lots of little conversations with people who weren't there, and I would be able to say and explain things that nobody could explain but that were actual and, you know, had happened. But yeah, unfortunately I grew out of it. It would have been really interesting to maybe keep that. I had mum suspects that I was going to be a twin, and about 10 weeks pregnant with me she bled incredibly heavily and thought she'd actually miscarried. But later when she studied, she's a nurse, and she studied midwifery, she suspects that she had lost the twin at that point. But she would often find me talking to a girl named Madeline, and she swears it was my twin, but my twin had Down syndrome. And it was just so vivid and so real. I was describing a condition that as a child I'd never heard of. And having these conversations with this special little girl who spoke with a funny voice, who would see and describe things happening in other rooms that I wasn't in. So yeah, I used to freak a few people out, but yeah, that's the only thing that sort of happened to me that I can't explain, but I was very young. So maybe I just had a very wicked, interesting imagination.
Yeah, no, that's one up from Imaginary Friend, isn't it? You've leveled up your imaginary friend now, absolutely.
I was talking to my dead sister. How weird is that?
Yeah, there's a Netflix series in there somewhere.
Oh, maybe.
I just, my imagination is not as exciting as that. My imagination is good, but it's, despite loving the science fiction and fantasy and stuff, I can't. Don't get me wrong, I am a bit of a wuss in terms of being scared. I can't watch horror movies. I can't, you know, I don't get it. I don't get that. I blame my dad for that because he made me. We watched Alien and Aliens when I was about 12, maybe even younger, 11, which they're amazing films, but I couldn't sleep for a week after that. And since then,
that's strange.
Yeah,
as a kid, I used to love love horror movies. Loved them. And I would watch them by myself in the dark. Loved them. And now as an adult, no, not a chance.
No.
Not
Even now, if we flick the telly onto something, just as we're about to go to bed and it flicks onto something, a horror movie or something slightly scary or a doll or something like that, it'll be like, I've got to watch something for just a couple of minutes, just to big wuss.
Sleep. I can't watch bad things just before sleep, otherwise I'll have nightmares.
No, so that's probably my imagination at night does make things into unexplained things, but quickly calm myself down by thinking it's just a creak, get up and go and check it, it's just a creak, whatever it is. But no, I don't think anything.
All right, well, let's have a look at the next question, shall we?
Let's go.
What has been your happiest memory in the past year?
In the last year, the happiest I've been, which feels a bit, I quite often feel a little bit guilty saying this, but the happiest I've been is over the last few months. During lockdown, the opportunity to do yoga, do HIIT with Claire, with my wife, to have every lunchtime with the kids, to be hearing them. I can hear Matthew on the Xbox right now out there. To be hearing them in the same house, to then have dinner together every day because there was no other choice. Just that simplicity of that routine and the family being part of that routine. So I'm very much a routine person, but then being part of it has been so lovely, so simple, and to recognize actually, don't get me wrong, we're very much looking forward to holidays and very much looking forward to all sorts going out and eating all sorts of things, but the simplicity of that happiness of having a toast, introducing Matthew to toasted cheese and bean toasties and having those for a week, every day for a week for lunch. But even during the school holidays, we wouldn't have been together that much because they'd have been doing their own thing. I'd have been busy with work. Claire would have been busy doing stuff because we couldn't do that stuff. Just finding enjoyment in that simple routine of being together. Doesn't mean we didn't have moments, but the general of being together is simply the happiest I've been for ages. And what I loved about it was the simplicity of it. We didn't need to go deep. A cheese and bean toasty, for time school, watching cheesy telly, Schitt's Creek or Modern Family or something just cheesy at lunchtime, just together, done. But yeah, that simple routine. So yeah, nothing big, nothing fancy. That simplicity of being together has been lovely.
I must admit that even though this stage 4 lockdown now in Melbourne is extremely hard and extremely isolating, I absolutely love my mornings with my son and slowly waking up. I adore when I say it's time to get up and he will crash tackle me and body slam me and say, no, you're not getting up, you're in my jail. And he will sit on me, he will not get off me, and then I will have to tackle him off, and then the tickle monster comes out and I have to tickle him to death until so finally he will let me go so I can get off the bed, by which time I'm pretty much busting about to pee. Because he won't let me even get out of bed to go to the toilet because he thinks then I won't get back into bed. But he makes me promise. He is the warden of the state. Oh my God. He then demands that if I'm going to get out of bed that I have to go and get him breakfast, but I must come back to bed. I absolutely must come back to bed. If I don't come back to bed, he will make me come back to bed. I'm like, who's going to have a problem with that? Like, that is one of the best ways to wake up, with cuddles and laughter and play fighting and his tiny little arms when I'm lying on my pillow and they go under my neck and he wraps over my neck. Oh, and he pulls my face in so close that we're sharing bad breath, but it's still the best thing in the world. Until he turns around and says, no, Mum, your breath stinks. I'm like, that's not me. That's your breath bouncing off my face like this. So it is, you're right, it's the simplicity. It's the tiny little beautiful moments that we now have time to appreciate, time to really cherish. And I know it's not going to take long for that boy to grow up and become his daddy's son and not his mummy's boy anymore. And I'm just cherishing these tiny little moments with him because they're not going to last. You know, so he still holds my hand. I'm going to cherish that. So
you never know. Matthew he's still a mummy's boy in a good way. You know the cuddles and the affection he seeks first. He comes from Claire, and he'll turn to her first, which is, it's lovely. There are other things he comes to me for. Not that he's not affectionate with me, but yeah, he's still a mother's boy. So yeah, don't think you have to worry too much quite yet. Certainly, if you wanted to continue, it will. But yeah, no, it is.
I definitely do.
Just that question's made me, what's nice is stringing those simple things together. I think that's the beauty of lockdown. There's some horrible stuff with it. There's some challenges. The physical stuff with people outside of your shared, bubble or whatever is really hard. But just being able to string simple things together, not just I've got to carve out one simple thing to make the week worthwhile, but being able to string those simple things together and realize actually life isn't just punctuated by single moments. You can have lots of moments. Go seek those moments out. Make that your life's purpose. Okay. So yeah, lovely. Good question, that one. I like that one. I do like happiness.
Oh, what question are you trying to answer most in your life right now? What question are you trying to answer most in your life right now?
Ooh, good. A question I can quickly answer because I know that's one I've been thinking, and not necessarily that concise. I quite like that question. I might steal that as a coaching question. All right, the question I'm trying to answer right now is what's next? What's next for Colin? In terms of, so I've been doing primarily from a professional, but the lines blur for me in terms of professional and personal. It's all one. There are different times you can put different emphasis, but it's all part of that same big ball of contradictions that we talked about at the beginning. But what's next for me? Primarily professionally, in terms of been doing this a year, 18 months. Where am I going? What do I want? What am I enjoying? What am I not enjoying? What am I going to do with that? What am I missing? What will make me better? Where can I see myself in? What am I missing? I'm missing my team. So I don't miss the organisation, the bureaucracy. I don't miss the big responsibility for people, but I miss a close-knit team. I miss the banter. I miss the dependency. I miss the support. I miss the challenge. I miss the things you think I can tackle a lot on my own, but you can tackle so much more as a team, not as a group, but as a team.
Yep.
And I really miss, individually, I'm still friends with all of my team, and we still get together quite often. There's a few of us will be on the call tonight to talk about board game geek stuff. So we still get together, but I miss that experience, that feeling.
There's something about being in the trenches with people, all working towards a common goal. That's why I went back to work. You and I have a mutual LinkedIn friend, Andrew, and I told you recently that I started working with him. I didn't realize how close you guys had become, and that we had met through the same pod, but it was quite by coincidence that he'd interviewed me for the coaching platform that he's the CTO for, and he interviewed me over a year ago. No, it'd be about a year ago now. Here you go. And he never published the interview. So he interviewed me as a coach, talking about coaching, talking about this coaching platform that I want to say his company, it is his company because he's the CEO, that they developed and created Coco. And he never published that interview. And it never went anywhere. And I went, it just kind of fell off the face of the planet. He published one segment and then just nothing happened. And I was I left it a couple of weeks and I thought, no, I know he's actually incredibly busy. And our conversation had a lot to do with men's mental health. And because at that time I was doing a lot of work and I was very interested in working with men. In particular in Australia, the suicide rate of men is really, really high. And I was just doing research to work out what that was all about. And so after about 6 weeks, I reached out to him just via WhatsApp. I kind of stalked him to try and find his WhatsApp number in his email signatures, and took me a bit. And then I sent him a WhatsApp message. Hey, do you know who I am? Do you remember? Are you okay? And that one "Are you okay?" question formed the basis of what ended up being an incredibly beautiful friendship and connection, where every now and again we'd send each other messages, usually me prompting to write to him first because he just had so many things going on. But I just kept in contact. And then when I started looking for work, and I published a bunch of stuff on LinkedIn about, or just writing articles about exactly what I'm looking for and what type of person I want to work for, what type of organization. And I happened to mention to him in passing, hey, this is what's happening, this is what's going on in my life. And he turned around and says, well, we don't have a role, but how about I create one for you? What do you think of this? And my answer was quite literally, hell fucking yeah, baby. Like, definitely, you can quote me on that. And it was brilliant. And he and I now lead an incredible team, but it's the team that I get to really enjoy working with, because he trusts in me to lead the team so that now he can actually take a holiday. He's on leave right now. It's only the second time in several years that he's been able to take time away from the business, knowing someone is there running the business. And I mean, he's in Lithuania, the rest of the team's in the UK, I'm here in Melbourne, and yet he has complete faith and trust that I'll keep the ship running and it won't sink while he goes and has a well-earned break. If I don't know, I didn't have the self-starter capacity that I do and the autonomy that I'm capable of, there's no way, I'd be able to experience the teamwork and the camaraderie that I do. But everybody's in this together. And it's brilliant. Like, it's really good to see how much energy everybody brings each day, and their genuine care factor. And I had missed that when I was coaching. And I didn't have that when I was running my own businesses. And I didn't realize just how much I missed it, how much I crave it. So I get it completely. Nothing like it. How do you think you'll go creating a team?
I'm doing what I normally do, which is planting the intention. I'm imagining it, I'm picturing it, and then I'm going to see what opportunities arise. Ironically, I've learned to trust that intention, and a couple of things have come up over the last just 2 or 3 weeks in terms of individuals just reconnecting with from a while ago, or people I've worked with for a while. Yeah. What I love about the story that you used there is what underpinned all that experience was the word trust. But actually, you built that trust listening to you tell the story quite quickly with that one question: are you okay? There was a bit around that and a bit before that and a bit after that, but ultimately it was that moment there that built the trust. And people quite often think, you see it with networking, you've got to spend a long time and you've got to do lots of things and you can do it that way, but you can also do it quite quickly by just being in the moment, by being present, really listening, really, or really being honest and answering, but that exposing that vulnerability, that's how you build trust. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I do with clients when I do it, create them off social media or create them through networking, but also that's how I'm approaching creating a team. Is I'm not going to go out there and go, right, I want 4 people, I want this sort of person. I'm just going, I picture myself in a similar way to I used to, different dynamics, whatever, but let's see what happens. And then just, oh, that was an interesting discussion. Ask the question, or brilliant, that was a great question. Maybe we could, off the back of that, maybe we could do something together and try something, and so on and so on. That said, I've got an amazing virtual team, for want of a better expression. People I work with, people who pay me, I pay them, or people we share experiences, mastermind group. There are probably around 8 to 10 people that I would consider a virtual team, but it's still not the same as working towards the same goal, if you like. We're all working towards our same personal goals, but not the same team goal. So that definitely scratches an itch, and that's brilliant. And I've met some amazing people and inspiring people through that. But yeah, just going to trust that the intention and taking action at the right time will turn into something really, really amazing. So,
do you know? I'm putting my coaching hat on for a moment, but it's kind of piqued my curiosity in that obviously I'm a networker, I'm a connector, and I'm a problem solver. These are my core skills and things that I really thoroughly enjoy. But what's not clear to me in what you've described is, do you know, or have you finished sort of compiling an idea in your mind as to where you're going with your business? How big do you want your business? What would people be doing were they in a team with you?
For the next 3 years, yes, I've got a view of that in terms of where are the opportunities to help people in different ways. So there's a few things I'm looking at with another chap in terms of when I talk to my clients, this is kind of what I can offer them, but there's other things that they need that maybe we could bring a blending of certain skills, certain outlooks, certain practical things as well, to really help them in a different way, help their businesses, help their teams. Leadership stuff is a massive interest of mine in terms of the way that people lead. Done lots of work in the past, helping people become better leaders, and that's a really important topic to me, particularly in this world with the wrong type of leaders and helping companies in that shift. So there's something in that space as well. But ultimately, what it looks like is still small. It's still a small unit, and I don't see it as. So it's interesting. I don't see it as people necessarily working for me. That for me is the next evolution of what I want. It's a team. It's a self-managing team. It's, you know, to use buzzwords, servant leadership. It's all that type of mentality. So for me, it's the right people, not the right subject to build a business around. It's not the right topic, and then I'll go find people to deliver that topic. It's right. You're brilliant. What can we do together? And that's what I've discovered over the last couple of weeks. Is you're brilliant at what you do. Actually, the things we do, there's a slight overlap there. Maybe there's something in that overlap that we could really, between the two of us, really look at. And then, okay, what's the next person to come along? I can't do Venn diagrams with just 2 hands.
But it's just sounding like more of a coaching cooperative. You know, it's a collaborative opportunity to support clients from multiple different directions. I had a couple of relationships with coaches here in Melbourne where I would have that approach, going, you know what, I know I'm not proficient in that particular aspect, but you know, how about you go and have a chat to, you know, XYZ. Or we might just set up a workshop, or we might do something that's, you know, 3 coaches in a room and we're really nailing somebody to the wall. We did that once. It was really good, but it was really hard on the client. They got a lot of value out of it because it was just, but yeah, it was 3 coaches in a room is not something for the shy to do.
No. But there is something in that model if it's the right person and it's the right approach. So absolutely, I do the same. There are people. I truly believe everybody should have a coach, but having the right coach at the right time is the most important thing. And there are different times when you need something different, perhaps depending on where you are in your life. And I've pointed people at other coaches because actually, you know what, I feel like you need something from this person more than me. You'll get something more valuable from that, and likewise. But I think there's something more than just signpost, passing people around. There's something about exposing them to the benefits of, again, I don't like the labels, but if you think about it, you've got business coaches, you've got mindset coaches, purpose coaches, growth coaches, career coaches. But if somebody needs something from 2 or 3 of those, they would really benefit from something from 2 or 3 of those at the same time. Is there a way to build something that's not overbearing? It's not 3 people in a room,
I have an answer for you.
Really works on it. Yeah, go for it.
So, and this is a bit of a inadvertent pitch for Coco. But we, Coco is a coaching platform, and it, its core functionality is around matching coaches with coachees, and then managing and automating the process of that relationship. So building out a program, all the scheduling, all the email communications, all the notifications, everything is all automated. And then on top of that, there's the measurement component of it as well. Now, to date, we have been an enterprise product, and we're in the process of releasing a subscription model out to the general public for any coaches who subscribe to the platform. In addition to that, we're opening it up to the general public so that coachees, people seeking coaches, can actually come and have a look at the directory and see who's on the platform. One of the strongest functionalities of Coco is our program management. And I reckon you could easily get together with a couple of other coaches, create a program, and then together collaboratively publish it on the platform and be able to have people sign up from the general public, participate in the program, and each of you as coaches will take the coachee through the program bit by bit, so that it's a gradual experience, but it's all managed online. Like, you don't even have to be in the same country with your coachee or even the other coaches. And it's all something where, again, you are collaborating, and the outcome of what you're putting together is what the coachee is coming to look for. All of those things are ticked for them.
I love that. The words collaboration experience is key. It has to be a positive experience for the coachee, for the client, in terms of not overbearing, of not lots of work or lots of effort. There is going to come a point where a platform solution is going to be really useful to facilitating that. It's working. The stage I'm at is working through that experience that the client's going to go through. So not, I'm having two coaching experiences. Is that the best thing, or is it actually I'm having one with some additional stuff, and just working through that experience, designing the experience for the client, which is quite exciting. Get to use all my design thinking and all those agile skills from years ago. But yeah, having a platform, to picture how it could look, but also to deliver it to people is going to be really important. And I think I can see the market, to get into technical speak, shifting towards that. I want, this is a great conversation, but I want to become a better person. I want to build a business. I want to be a better dad. I want to do all these things. And I kind of feel like, and there is a level of slowing down and being patient, but there's also a bit of exposing different experiences at different times and being able to pick and choose. So yeah, just exploring that at the moment. But yeah, definitely interested in the platform opportunities there.
Well, we can have another conversation about it.
Let's have another conversation.
Funny, interesting, isn't it? Like, the thing about coaching and being a coach, and of course I remember this from running my own business, all I ever wanted to do was coach. I didn't want to do any of the business management, business development. I didn't want to do the marketing or administration. I just wanted to be a coach, because I suck at running my own business. It's, I'm a great coach, but I just didn't want to do the whole business management side of things. And I have learned, actually, in several conversations with different coaches, that a lot of coaches are the same. They don't want to do the BD. They don't want to do the admin or all of that. And I think that's why, and it's not surprising, really, if you think about it, like, that I end up working with Andrew after not wanting to be a coach anymore. I mean, talking about intention before, everything that I wrote in my LinkedIn articles, Andrew didn't read anything I wrote, didn't see one thing, and yet he ticked every single box. And it's blown me away that we couldn't be more synchronized. So I get you're putting out, setting the intention, and I can already feel within the way we're talking that our next conversation, that's going to be cool. You know, like, because we'll be able to talk about the platform, we'll be able to talk about technology, we'll be able to take your concepts and what you want to do and actually demonstrate how you can deliver on that, and make that practical without it even being salesy. Just going, hey, take a look at this. What do you reckon? By the way, can I pick your brain as to how I'm to sell this to the rest of the world? You know? And again, we're collaborating, you know, and that's what I love. You know, that's what I love about these kinds of conversations, because they can just go anywhere.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think when I came out of the corporate world, I came out with a few chips on my shoulder, and one of which was I expected this world to be incredibly competitive, and there is that side to it. But actually, what I've found is just a huge amount of collaboration. It's so nice. It's just so refreshing to be amongst that. And yeah, we're all out here to generate income, to create a lifestyle, absolutely. But that happens as a result of being collaborative. And it's just so nice to just have conversations and with intention, and you know, exploring opportunities that arise through them. So it's not just meandering conversations, but not with a pressure to, right, what we're going to turn this into, what we're going to turn this into, what we're going to turn this into, what we're going to turn this into. So yeah, let's get out of the conversation in the diary. But yeah, good stuff. What was the question again?
No idea. Doesn't matter. We're gone.
Doesn't matter.
Hey, so let's have one last question then. Another lovely question. What is your first love's name and the reason you fell in love with them?
So, Claire and I have been together since we were at uni. So, my first proper girlfriend, and we've been together ever since. So, 25 years next year. So her name is Claire. Why did I fall in love with her? I fell in love with her because...
Yeah, the reason you fell in love with her.
She whipped me at pool. That was the moment. That was the moment I knew, because I was good at pool, and she didn't hold back at all. No bluster, no nothing. She just destroyed me. And we were in Brittany. We were on a geography field trip in France. We'd snuck away. We were 18, 19, so I don't know why we needed to sneak away, but we did sneak away. Group of us, 6 of us, I think, or 4 of us. And yeah, we just played pool in this little French pub. And yeah, she destroyed me. And then that just made me think, wow, this person just knows what she wants, and she doesn't, in a similar way to me, doesn't care what other people think. She just does what she does. There was no, well, there was flirting, but in terms of the pool, it was just, yeah, straightforward. I'm good at this. I'm just going to destroy it. And she did.
I love it.
And yeah, that was the beginning of lots of moments, but yeah, that's the one I go back to. Yeah.
That's really beautiful.
And she keeps doing that. She keeps destroying her. Sort your shit out, Colin. Okay, yeah, sorted. Off we go. So yeah, she's still good at destroying the crap stuff I build up around myself.
Awesome.
And letting the real me come out. Yeah, absolutely. Well, 25 years. If it didn't work, we wouldn't still be here. But yeah, no, I hadn't thought about that pool game for a while.
Oh, I love that we're bringing back some pretty cool memories for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, lovely.
My first love is my current husband. My current husband, like I'm going to have another one. Sometimes I'm pretty sure there has to be someone else. But his name is Dowda. And he fell in love with him. When did I fall in love with him? So we met in Cambodia, and the night I met him I was just having a fat and ugly day. I was out with a girlfriend. We were dancing, and long story short, he was just dancing like a dickhead and making me laugh. And I just went, oh, who is this guy? And when I'm inside of a nightclub, when I'm in a noisy environment, I have a lot of difficulty discerning sounds. And so I'd made it clear to him that I couldn't really hear him should we go outside. And we went outside and we sat and we talked and we got to know each other. But it so happened that I was dating somebody at the time, and he was still in China, where I used to live. And he just talked to me. He was just this beautiful man that I just got to know, and he let it be known that he was interested in me, but he didn't hit on me. Now, the thing about African men is that if your boyfriend is not in spitting distance, like reach out and touch you distance, you are fair game. And he didn't hit on me, and I was like, oh, this is kind of hot. Like, oh, I don't know about this guy. And the next day, he's a professional soccer player, so he took me and my girlfriend to watch him and his mate play. And it was, just a really lovely, lovely day. But my boyfriend found out, and he lost his shit. Oh my God, he swore black and blue he was coming from China to Cambodia and he was going to take care of him and I should stay away from him. And I'm like, yeah, nah, here's what's going to happen. You're going to lose my number and we're never going to talk again. Take care now. Bye. I adopt his ass, because I just, like, anybody who's jealous isn't right for me, isn't right for anybody. And I didn't tell Dowda that I broke up at all. And I just thought, let's keep this one to myself for a while. Let's just see what this guy does. And that night we went to another club, but it was so early. And in Cambodia, the clubs don't really get kicking until about midnight, 1 o'clock. And it was like 10:30, 11. And my friends and I were standing on the side of the dance floor. And then there was this Western girl. She was there by herself with just, I think, one other girlfriend. But she just didn't look very confident. Like, she just didn't look really happy within herself. And Dowda was out on the dance floor doing what he does, dancing like a dickhead. And he just went and approached her and danced with her. And you saw, or I at least saw, her completely light up. And she just shone. He wasn't hitting on her. He wasn't making a move. He wasn't even dancing sexy. Nothing at all. He was just having fun. And you just saw her radiate. And I went, oh, that's it. I'm going to keep him. And we came off the dance floor and I grabbed his shirt lapel and I said, I'm going to kiss you right now. And he's like, and it was that kiss, that moment that I knew. I was like, damn, I am in love. And it was just like, after the kiss, I was just like, can I keep you? And he's like, that's it. We just kept each other. And for better or worse, and sometimes worse, we've kept each other. So definitely, I don't know, he's just a good man. I was joking with a girlfriend the other day that if there were to ever be an end to us, I'd have to be gay, because there wouldn't be another man that could match him, because he's just, yeah. What a good way to end. But he's wonderful.
No, it's lovely. It's fascinating, isn't it? That it's about the way these people make us feel that you remember, and those, and you keep remembering. And I think that's the key to it continuing.
He keeps making me a better human being. Like, he doesn't. Yeah. It's not just that he doesn't put up with my shit. It's that he does put up with my shit and then comes back later to go, hey, you could have done this better. Or, hey, can we talk about this? And I do the same with him, and it's this opportunity to help each other grow, and he has this saying, and I'm probably going to bugger it up, but he says, if two friends walk into a building day after day and they're always coming out smiling, well, they're not really friends, because they've never told each other the truth. And I just love that, because if you're not capable of telling the person that you love most in the world the truth, you're not really in love. Because you've got to accept some really hard truths as well about who you are.
Absolutely. It's without sounding like a broken record, it's a team, isn't it? It's might be a team of 2 or a team of 3 or 4 with the kids, etc. But it's a team, and teams face the truth. Teams, move together and cry together. But yeah, that's nice again. That lots of little things we talked about. We did the feedback in there and dealing with it. It's all weaved in, underpins. These questions do seem to reveal sort of core values, which I suppose is the point. But yeah, lovely story. It's fascinating that so many people's stories start with, we were out drinking, dancing, or playing pool or whatever.
Yeah, he was dancing like a dickhead.
I was playing pool like a dickhead. So it's a boy thing.
Yeah, I get it. I completely get it. Colin, this has been absolutely beautiful. Thank you for being willing to build a deeper connection with me for LinkedIn, for our audiences. In closing, would you like to ask any questions, give any commentary, thoughts, ideas?
No. Only that, no, thank you. I've really enjoyed it. It's been lovely just chatting to you. I knew it would be a great conversation just because we've been chatting for a while, but yeah, it's just been so relaxed. Made me think. There's a few things I'm going to blatantly steal, if I'm honest, for a few coaching questions here and there. I might have to get myself a copy of the game. But yeah, no, really enjoyed it. Thank you for your for suggesting it, and your honesty as well. It's been really nice. It's lovely to speak to somebody who's just willing to chat.
Yeah, beautiful. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, you take care, and I'll speak to you soon.